In this training, you are going to learn more about the myth of positive and negative emotions. One of the most confusing parts about emotions is that they are invisible. However, you can feel them, and they do have real-world impacts on you and your performance. In the upcoming 100x DNA Masterclass, you are going to learn how each of these negative emotions can impact your performance for up to 4 hours at a time. So as we said before, when we were learning about the 5 pillars of emotional intelligence, if you can't name it, you can't tame it. If you're not aware of which emotion is impacting you, you can't regulate the emotion. So in this training, my goal is to demystify these emotions, to educate you on both the positive and negative impacts on the major emotions. Now you can follow along here in your training system on page number 9 and page number 10. Beginning with joy, there's both possible positive and possible negative effects of joy. And we're going to explore the 3 possible positive effects of joy. Firstly, with the emotion of joy, it leads to optimism. And when you're feeling optimistic, you'll be more open to new ideas and information. Now, if you'd like to accelerate the impact of your business, or if you'd like to accelerate your impact as a leader, joy can help you get there faster. In addition, experiencing the possible positive effects of joy can help you build a connection and relationship. If you've struggled with relationships in the past, embracing joy can help you build deeper connections. Also, one of the other positive effects of joy is we expect good things to happen. And this is all part of rewiring the mind. A lot of us keep thinking about all the things that could go wrong. However, a possible positive effect of joy is you start to consider all the things that could go right. And this is a total shift in your focus. There's also possible negative effects of the emotion of joy. And firstly, there can be an overemphasis on the positive, and we can actually miss out on some of the critical negative points. You'll hear me say at 100x DNA that we can get drunk on optimism. We can be so optimistic that we don't plan and we ignore the negative points of other people or even opportunities. In addition, a possible negative effect of joy can be that we may find it hard to walk away from a negotiation. So you may be bought into the negotiation emotionally. However, the outcome might not serve you, and you'll find it really hard to walk away from a negotiation. This could be a negotiation with your employer. It could be a negotiation with your employees. It could be a negotiation with a customer. In addition, one of the possible negative effects of joy is that we may not be as firm as we need to when required. What that means is that people may tread on our toes. It means that people may take advantage of us, but because of the negative effect of joy, we don't assert our boundaries. So, if you've ever had somebody take advantage of you in the past, it could have been that negative effect of joy really impacted you. Now, the next emotion that we're going to explore is trust, and these are the possible positive effects of trust. When we're experiencing trust, we willingly accept advice and input from others. This can be really good when you're building a team or climbing up the corporate ladder. When we're experiencing trust, we're more willing to demonstrate good faith to the other side. You'll want to put more in. You'll put more energy, effort, enthusiasm into what you're doing to serve your customer or your employer. Another possible positive effect of trust is that we can be open to hearing from other people. Now, we've been exploring emotional intelligence, and the fourth pillar of emotional intelligence is social awareness. So this will help you improve your social awareness. Now, there are possible negative effects of the emotion of trust. And when there's too much trust, we may not question the claims from the other side. So remember, before we talk about focus and distractions, we may get so stimulated, maybe we get extremely stimulated with the emotion of trust, and then we stop asking the right questions. Have you been taken advantage of before? Sometimes it's because we put too much trust in others. When we have too much trust, we may avoid or circumvent some formal procedures. What that means is we may take shortcuts. And finally, we may not see the potential blind spots around risks. Sometimes we put too much trust in our ability, too much trust in the ability of others, and then we make a lot of mistakes because we failed to see the blind spots. I know this has happened to me in the past, and I want to make sure that it doesn't happen again in the future. Now, coming into 100x DNA Masterclass, we're also going to spend a lot of time eliminating your fears. So becoming aware of both the positive and negative effects of fear is going to give you a real jump start into this training. Now, when we have fear, we're more willing to back away from the negotiation. Somebody may be taking advantage of you. You may feel that fear of failure in the negotiation, and that will work in your favor, and you'll be more willing to pull back from the negotiation. You may be willing to say, I need a timeout. I need time to consider. When we're experiencing fear, it can have a possible positive effect, and we start to pay more attention to the threats and the risks of a deal. All of us have a fear of being taken advantage of. All of us have a fear of losing our financial stability. And when we become more aware of that fear, we can make better decisions, and it's harder for others to take advantage of us. In addition, one of the final positive effects of fear is it tends to enhance caution. We become more aware. We pay more attention to time. We pay more attention to the money, and we pay more attention to the possible mistakes. Now, there's also possible negative effects of fear. And sometimes we can have an overemphasis, and we can catastrophize the risks or the threats. There's a saying, we can turn molehills into mountains, and all of a sudden everybody can be an enemy, and we freeze because of the fear. Another possible negative effect of fear is that we may be too negative. We may be too pessimistic, and we can't see the positive aspects. Now, this does really impact a lot of people's performance. In addition, the final possible negative effect of fear is that we can back down on points too quickly. There may be things that we really want to discover. There may be things that we want to explore. There may be key points that we want more answers on. But because of fear, we back down too quickly and we don't do our due diligence. Now, there's also the emotion of surprise. And all of us have been surprised in the past. And don't be surprised that surprise has both possible positive and negative effects. So let's explore the possible positive effects. One of the possible positive effects of surprise is we may activate our problem-seeking behavior. All of us have to approach problems in our lives. We have to approach problems in our personal life, in our professional lives. And this emotion of surprise, it activates within us our problem-solving behavior. And in business and in life, the bigger the problems you solve, the more money you earn. So this can be a very positive effect. In addition, it can also open you up to new ways of thinking, up to new ways of working. And in my life, I have made many decisions that have led to million-dollar business ideas because of the element of surprise. And I've used that to unleash new income levels, and so can you. In addition, the positive effect of surprise is it helps us learn and recall in the future. There's nothing worse, in my opinion, than repeating a mistake. This can help us learn faster. And as we learn faster, we can start to live life on ours. Now, when it comes to surprise, there's also possible negative effects of surprise. And it can cause us to freeze. It can cause us to stop. We all of a sudden put the brakes on in life and we stop moving because we don't know how to respond. So the first thing that can happen is we can freeze. We might have $1 million idea and not take action on it. We may have somebody who wants to purchase a product from us, but we don't call them back. It can cause us to freeze. Inattention, we can also lose our balance. We may err to the side of caution. We may err to the side of slowing down too much. On the other side, it may cause us to react too quickly. And as I've said in our previous trainings, all action that precedes thinking is the root cause of failure. So it can also cause us to react too quickly and lead to mistakes. Now, if you're a person who doesn't like to make mistakes, then mastering the negative effects of surprise will serve you well, and you'll start to accelerate your impact. Now, throughout our lives, we will experience many emotions. And for a lot of us going through these times of the pandemic, we can experience a lot of sadness. It can be sadness because of the loss of an opportunity, the loss of a loved one, the loss of our income, even the loss of our stability. Now, one of the possible positive effects of sadness is we may speak less and listen more. Now, what I've learned in sales is that successful people are great listeners, and sadness can help you significantly with your selling results and your income levels. One of the possible positive effects of sadness is we may seek to slow things down. We start to slow things down. We become more attentive to details, and it also helps us avoid meaningless mistakes. One of the final positive effects of sadness is we can be less reactive to negative deal points, and this leads to less confrontation. If you're a person who doesn't like confrontation, then one of the possible positive effects of sadness is it can help you avoid those confrontations in both business and personal dealings. Now, when we look at the possible negative effects of sadness, what we begin to realize is that we may appear to not be motivated by other people. Now, if we don't appear to be motivated, we may lose opportunities. We may lose the respect and the esteem of our peers. In addition, when we experience a lot of sadness, we can appear distracted. We lose our focus. We lose our attention. Our mind starts to drift. And in addition, we can be less responsive to positive deal points. Somebody may offer you one of the best ideas, one of the best deals on the planet. However, if you're experiencing the negative effects of sadness, you may miss your $1 million opportunity. Now, the emotion of disgust also impacts us negatively and positively. So we're going to explore the possible positive effects of disgust. Now, when we're experiencing disgust, it causes us to pay attention to potentially harmful deal points. You may be negotiating your salary, and because of the emotion of disgust, all of a sudden you see these harmful deal points, and you ask better questions, and you're less likely to give in on your negotiations. In addition, it helps us activate our protective posture. Our physiology, your body, is 55% of your communication. 38% is tone, and only 7% is words. So when we experience the emotion of disgust, our posture changes. Our communication gets better. Now, if you want to become a better communicator, mastering disgust will work in your favor. In addition, we'll also be willing to reject a bad deal. Maybe you're somebody who likes to say yes just to keep people happy. Maybe you like to do a little bit of people pleasing. However, when you start to utilize the effect of disgust to your advantage, you'll be willing to say no to people, and you'll feel good about saying no. Now, in addition, one of the negative effects of disgust is that we may agree to points to end the negotiation quickly. Sometimes we just say yes, 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 just to get the deal over and done with so we can move on, which eventually hurts you financially or even ruins your reputation. When we have that possible negative effect of disgust, sometimes we place an overemphasis on the negative aspects of the deal. There could be 80% of the things that we agree to, maybe even 90%, but we get caught up and we get hung up on some of those smaller negative aspects, and we can't move forward. Ultimately, we lose our opportunity, and sometimes our competitor wins and we lose. The final positive negative effect of disgust is that we may reject points without fully considering them. Has somebody knocked on your door before and said, I've got $1 million idea? Has somebody ever come to your place of work and said, hey, we've got this new idea that could transform this place? Has somebody said to you personally, I know a way for you to achieve your goals faster, and you found yourself saying, no, no, no? Maybe this has happened to one of your family members. They just say, no, no, no. Maybe your boss, you've taken an idea to your boss and he said, no, no, no. Well, this could be an example of a possible negative effect of disgust. People reject points too quickly without fully considering them. Now, as you learn this, you can start to see that once you master your emotions, you can start to catapult your influence. You can start to accelerate that impact, and then you will unleash the income levels. Now, in my opinion, everybody experiences anger and frustration. It can help us or it can hurt us. Now, we're going to learn about the possible positive effects of anger so we can utilize it to our advantage. When we experience anger, it can make us more competitive, and also it increases that desire to win. And I think you've experienced that in the past. When you've lost before, you get angry. Then you want to win. You put more time, more energy into your goals. In addition, we may get better short-term results. Now, for me, I experience the emotion of anger and frustration. And when I get that, I find that I start to catapult and start to move so fast and to accelerate towards my goals because it helps me achieve. In addition, anger may sharpen our focus on what we want. Has somebody taken advantage of you in the past? Has somebody stolen from you? Has somebody betrayed you and you've got angry? What happens next is all of a sudden you become razor sharp in your focus. You now know what you don't want, and you do know what you do want. And then you place all of your focus and attention on that, and you start to accelerate. Now, there's also some possible negative effects of anger. It can escalate conflicts and create more impasses. And you might have found that before. When you're angry, when the other person is angry, you start to have more conflicts and it starts to get out of control. In addition, anger can harm long-term relationships. We will say things to people. We will do things under pressure of anger, and then it impacts our long-term relationships. The emotion of anger also causes us to close up to new possibilities and to new options. And what happens is we start to move towards win-lose negotiation. With a win-lose negotiation, that is the last deal you'll ever get to do with that person. So the effect of anger can limit our negotiation abilities, which will negatively impact our income earning potential. Now, the final emotion I want to explore here is the emotion of anticipation. And you've had that before. You might even have it now. Maybe you're excited to come along to 100x DNA Masterclass. Maybe you're really excited to overcome your fears, your doubts, your limiting beliefs. Maybe you're really excited to discover what your life's purpose is. Now, using that anticipation can help you accelerate your impact. With the emotion of anticipation, it enhances our curiosity, and we start to look for answers. We start to look for answers in places we've never looked before. In addition, we seek to map the situation to better understand the ideal environment. I know this happens to me. When I get excited, I start to look at the bigger, broader picture, and I start to understand the environment because I want to master the environment. And the positive effect of anticipation is it can enhance our creativity. It can enhance our problem-solving ability. And as we know, the bigger the problem we solve, the more we... And finally, there's also possible negative effects of anticipation. Now, with anticipation, if I get the expected outcome, I may ignore the other aspects of the deal. This happens a lot of the time with money. People push to negotiate on money, and then they get their offer accepted, but they forget about all the other details. And then what happens? The deal becomes more costly in the long run. In addition, if the expected outcome is not achieved, then what happens is the emotions may become more intense. It becomes harder to control all the other emotions. And finally, we can be less responsive to other realities. When you get really excited, when you're really invested in that outcome and then you don't get it, we can have a all or nothing approach. If I can't have the red Ferrari, I'm going to have none at all. If I can't make $1 million out of this business, well, I'm not going to stick around to make $800,000. And we can become less responsive to other options. So, in this section of the training, you have learned about the myths of both positive and negative emotions. You've learned how these emotions can help you and how they can hurt you. And our goal at 100x DNA Masterclass is to give you the tools and the resources so you can upgrade your operating system, so you can become more emotionally intelligent, and for you to be able to catapult your influence, to accelerate your impact, and to unleash those new income levels. And with these foundations you've learned in this training, you are going to be so much further ahead than all the other people around you. Now, I'm looking forward to seeing you at the upcoming masterclass, and I wish you all the best in the weeks ahead.